Hello everybody. Before I start this video, I need to tell you that this, well, it's not for kids. Please turn back now or you may not be able to sleep tonight or maybe even get possessed. This is no Uno for children. Leave now if not adult. You have been warned. Now, without further ado, on to the creepypasta. It all started on that day, one morning, when it was cloudy outside, and I was inside playing Dragon Ball Fighter Z, losing over and over again, of course. I was playing as my favorite team, Frieza, Android 17, and the DLC fighter Master Roshi. When I was playing, I should have known that the only character I was good at was Frieza, because Android 17 is so weird and pretty much has no real ranged moves, and I really should not have been playing as Master Roshi, because he is insanely difficult to play as a result of his technical moveset. I was clubbing up on my fifth real player to fight against, and this guy was using a party of Android 21, Ginyu, and of course, Broly. I was already sighing and cursing under my breath at the unfortunate matchup against an obvious gimmick player. The match started as the announcer said, "Are you ready? Fight!" And I started with Android 17's special move, where he flied around the stage at high speeds. Just as I was about to get my first hit in, my opponent smacked me out of the air and started a stupid long fucking combo on me. And as I recovered, he started another one. Of course, I didn't stand a chance, and Android 17 was dead. The same went for Frieza, and as I switched to Roshi, my last character, he swapped to Ginyu. "Don't do it, bro," I said to myself, getting ready for the inevitable. He got me into a combo, and just as I was about to recover, he used Ginyu's special move, which allowed him to swap bodies with my Master Roshi. I was horrified to see that as his move ended, he started kicking my ass, and instead of comboing me, he crouched up and down again, a sign of disrespect in the fighting games community. Of course I lost that round, go figure. At that point, I was too tilted and salty to play another round, so I went into my computer files to find my favorite game, Sonic 2. Strangely though, I couldn't find it anywhere. It was as if the file itself was deleted from my system. Not wanting to play anything else, I went online to find a new ROM of Sonic 2. What was weird though was that all my favorite ROM sites weren't showing up, and the only results were sketchy Spanish sites. Scrolling down for a little bit, I finally found something half trustworthy. Some website with a crocodile mascot. The description said, "Get ready to play this classic on the Sega System Sonic 2. With wonderful characters and classic moves, you will fight through the baddies and defeat the Egged Man. Sonic 2." Although something fell off, my desire to play this classic Sonic game shone through, and I pressed download. I only realized later that I should never have done that. After what felt like 10 minutes, the game was finally downloaded, but the name of the file was not something like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 world.md. Instead, the ROM was called simply chemical-plant.exe. "That's weird," I said to myself, thinking that this was maybe a fan-made ROM hack or something. I double-clicked the exe file, and that was the one thing I pretty much should never have done, ever. It opened with the classic Sega splash screen, and then I saw the title screen. It looked like the normal Sonic 2 title screen, but instead of the normal Sonic 2 title screen, it was Sonic and Tails in that classic silver winged ring. Something was off to me though, because they both looked sort of washed out. Tails was frowning, and Sonic, instead of his cheeky grin, he looked pissed the fuck off. Also, instead of the rolling hills and blue sky background panorama, it was the background for chemical plants. Wow, I said to myself, half in surprise and half in strange worry at what was ahead for me. I pressed the start button, and for a single frame, Sonic disappeared. And what was scary was that he showed up on my second monitor as the little in-game Sonic sprite, but disappeared immediately. The game immediately booted up to the stage, but instead of the classic nostalgiac Emerald Hill I was expecting, it was the second world, Chemical Plant. Something was wrong though. Instead of playing as the hero Sonic and his best buddy Tails, I was just playing as Tails. I'm not complaining though, because Tails has the flying ability, and I would be able to fly through the level. Well, I would be able to, but the second thing that was what made my heart drop. Tails was standing before the entrance to that one part and chemical plant with the rotating squares. If you played Sonic 2, you know the one, where all momentum of the level stops, and you're put into a cramped chamber, where you have to fight several rotating wheels of squares to escape the flood, while also trying not to get crushed. That's where I was, and seeing this, I said to myself, dude, you can't be serious. I started moving Tails forward, and like I expected, the door closed behind me, and I had to escape from the rising water. Luckily, I'd played Sonic 2 enough, and I made it across easily. That was when the terrible thing happened. As I reached the top, to my horror, I saw that ahead of me was the same fucking cramped wheel corridor. Oh no, I said, as the horror of what this ROM hack truly was creeped in. Suddenly, the screen flicked to Sonic the Hedgehog's jovial, jubilant face, but he was real and scary. Instead of being Sonic, he was a dim blue, and his eyes were bloodshot, almost like he drowned 100 times but could never die. As I was clutching my chest from fright as a result of Scary Sonic showing up on my screen, he began speaking. Hello, Logan PC. What the fuck? That was my real name. Well, the name of my PC. I began laughing to myself, half because I thought this was funny, and half because I was so scared and confused. Suddenly, Scary Sonic spoke again. I hope you enjoyed losing in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Do you want to play a game of Sonic 2? Kind of confused, I said yes to Scary Sonic's question, and then suddenly the game flicked back to Tails and Chemical Plant Zone. With nothing else to do, I moved forward, but this time, I got a little bit cocky. I started using my flight ability, and with a little bit of precision, I was able to get through easily. Suddenly though, the screen flashed back to Scary Sonic, but this time he was angry. Stop doing that, he said, as it flicked back to the game. I kept moving forward in order to do the same thing again. What is Scary Sonic gonna do if I keep cheating? I said to myself in a taunting manner. I flew through the cramped space again, and suddenly it flicked back to Scary Sonic, and he was livid. Fucking stop! He said. I was a little taken aback by how vulgar my childhood hero Sonic the Hedgehog was, and when it cut back, my heart dropped. Tails was on the ground bleeding, and his tails were gone, missing like they were cutted off. What was scary was that he was screaming in agony, but his screams were different from that classic Sega Genesis sound. It was real, as if there really was a real Sonic and Tails behind the screen. I clicked off the game to text my friend Kelly Wasser, who happened to be online at the time, about this game. I started texting him, dude, this Sonic game is fucked up and violent, and I sent send. What happened next shook me to my core. Instead of the text message sent by me, what was sent to Kelly Wasser was this, and by the same Scary Sonic from the game. I am God 666. I was horrified. Kelwazzer texted back, holy shit! I texted back trying to prove that wasn't me. My Discord is hacked, but it came out as, play my game! I texted the same thing again, and this time it worked. I told him, I'm playing Sonic 2, but Sonic is scary and Tails is being killed. Obviously not taking me seriously, he sent a reaction image of a man, but his face is terribly morphed and distorted. I'm so scared right now. Ah! Being angry now, I told him this was real and clicked back on the game. This time, Tails was dead and I could no longer move. I started mashing buttons, but nothing worked. I began to panic, and I felt really bad for Tails, who had to die because I was fucking around. Scary Sonic appeared on my screen again, and he began speaking. Not just in the game this time, though. It was real, and he was speaking to me. Are you having fun? I told Scary Sonic no, and he said back to me, don't be rude. After what felt like hours of Scary Sonic staring at me and me staring back, he started speaking again. Hey, look behind you. I quickly turned around, and to my horror, there was a doll of Sonic on the dresser. but he was covered in real blood and was steaming. Also, his eyes were black. I wanted to scream, but the horror was too much. I shot up out of my chair and in a panic started punching the doll really hard. But the doll was burning. But I kept punching and punching Scary Sonic. I stopped when I heard a voice from my computer. "Stop doing that, for real." It was Scary Sonic, and he was standing on my desk now, which was covered in blood. I looked over at my Discord to see that Kelwazzer was sending gifts from Sonic X, a TV show that I didn't really like a lot. Suddenly, Scary Sonic jumped at me, and I had to dodge his dreadful strike. I texted Kelwazzer one last time, "Scary Sonic is real," and Scary Sonic jumped at me a second time, disappearing right before hitting me. I began to feel weird as Kelwazzer sent me a picture of his Discord recap, saying that the Discord friend he spent the most time this year with was Scary Sonic. Suddenly, I felt myself getting sucked into the screen. In a panic, I texted Kelwazzer this one last message. "I'm being sucked up." But it was too late. Suddenly I woke up, and I was Tails in that shitty part of Chemical Plant Zone, and this is real. I heard behind my Scary Sonic, and he said this: "Are you ready to play a game of Sonic 2?